Hello and welcome to the Animation Industry Podcast. My name is Terry and it was my birthday recently, and that is a super fun fact about me. Today I'm chatting with two super guests who are also good friends of mine and who also run their own animation podcast called Nice Shorts. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm about to tell you. Their names are Yang and Johnny Knittle, and they interview animators of all mediums about their short films that they make, and they've done so many cool interviews, so go check them out. I've included a link to this in the description of this chat. So if you love animation podcasts, Nice Shorts is another one you should definitely be listening to. Now, besides this stellar podcast that they run, Fu is also an award-winning stop motion and 2D animator who also teaches stop motion, and Johnny is a music composer primarily focusing his talents on concert hall works and animated short films, including a whole bunch of Sheridan grad films, which is just super cool. Now, in our chat, they share how they started Nice Shorts and some of the things they've learned about running an animation podcast, as well as the ins and outs of their stop motion and music composition careers. But first, this episode is sponsored by Hue, makers of colorful plug-and-play cameras for learning, work, and play. Originally designed for teachers, Hue cameras can also be used for creative activities such as capturing hand-drawn pencil tests and shooting behind-the-scenes footage, time-lapse videos, and stop-motion animation. Their flexible cameras have posable necks, manual focus controls, and they are compatible with Dragon Frame, OBS, Twitch, Zoom, and many other camera apps. Visit huehd.com to learn more and follow @HueCameras on social media for news, fun, and giveaways. And if you go to huehd.com and purchase any Hue product, you can get 10% off with the code 10TerryAIP. That's 10TERRYAIP. So make sure you check them out because they are super great. Now, without further ado, let's jump in. Hello, Johnny and Fu. How are you?
Hi, Terry.
Very good, Terry.
So we're two podcasts interviewing each other, I guess.
Yes.
Look at that. I came on your podcast. Now you're coming on my podcast. What is something interesting going on in your lives right now?
Johnny, you want to go
Johnny,
first?
you start.
So I don't know what I can say, but it's an interesting day. I'm hiring vocalists to sing for stop motion animated tampons and poop.
Sorry, tampons and poop.
Yeah, so it's a short film called Shit Show that's been announced. It's really cool people on it, and it's like the same week I hired these singers to sing for the poop. They're also singing for the string quartet thing for a different film. So it's been a very interesting week.
Is this for for broadcast, for a short film, for?
So can't say some of that. It's been announced. It's not okay. It's one of those, it's under NDA, but they've announced a lot. But I don't know everything they've announced, so I just kind of don't say anything. But it's called Shit Show.
Fair enough. Shit Show. I think I know what you're talking about. Anyways. Okay, so you just hired a bunch of singers. You're a music guy, and you do you have a roster of singers? Do they do auditions? Do you just like go to a website and hire people for this? Like, this is interesting to me for how you hire singers to sing about tampons and poop.
Well, first and foremost, okay. So for the record, it sounds like potty humor. It's not. Just want to be. It's hard to explain, but to find some musicians. Contractors for some things. So like the string quartet, I use a contractor called Fames. They're in Macedonia. And so they take care of everything. You give them money, send the scores, the Pro Tools sessions and everything prepared. And then they give you a time and a date. And you basically just be there and on Zoom and you listen, and they have the musicians, the recording stage, the Pro Tools engineers, everything set up. So you just got to give them money. Contractors take care of everything pretty much anywhere, or remote recording, which is a lot of stuff anyway. You just meet people and keep knowing more people. Yeah. And so I could call like individuals to just have them do certain things. But when you need a blended sound for a bunch of stuff, it helps to get a contractor to get a few people to do it on one place.
Cool. I already have so many questions, but I don't want to ignore Fu here.
I'm very interested in Johnny's, like how he do that too.
Well, why don't you, Fu? Why don't you ask him a question then?
Wait, Fu, what's going on in your life? Your life is more interesting.
Yeah. Tell me what's going on that's interesting right now. I know you just moved.
Yeah, I just
I-
moved. I usually like in the Bay Area, San Francisco,
Yeah.
and in the Berkeley, very tiny studio, no room, just studio. But now I move into St. Louis, Missouri, and yes, Missouri, right?
Your pronunciation
Yeah.
of that is actually pretty funny and good. Because
Really?
misery, like misery bad, but Missouri. Yeah.
Oh, Missouri. Okay. And then, yeah, so I am expanding a studio size. Very looking forward to do more stop motion things there.
Oh, congratulations. So
Thank you.
you have a bigger studio space now. Does this
Yeah,
mean you have
yeah.
a project in the works in stop motion?
It's pre-planning, nothing really in the build yet, but
Okay,
that's it.
But that's so
Yeah.
exciting. Wait, is this also where you live, or is this you're renting a separate studio?
Oh, it's very interesting. It's like my house is look like this, and I have a Cordia Connect, and then this is like two-store garage size
Oh,
garage, and on
wow.
top is studio. Yeah, I can share with you the picture. Like
Oh, that's
it's
amazing. I'm so
yeah.
envious. Like my studio is just my bedroom when I push the bed aside, put out an animation table. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, you can come bring your
Done. I'm
project.
coming. I'm bringing some clay and whatever. That's so cool. So
Have
Yeah.
Sculpey will travel.
yeah. Well, I want to talk to both of you about, how you I think both of your stories and what you're doing is super interesting with Nice Shorts, which is the kind of the I would say like the more professional, higher grade animation podcast than mine. It's got editing, it's got sound effects, it's got all this fun stuff that you do, which is great. And here I am, I just hit record and I start asking questions, and then at some point we stop.
Yeah, but
So-
how many have you done?
Yeah.
I just published 160. This week will be 162 episodes published, but
Yeah.
but as these things go, I have lots already pre-recorded.
Because that's
So-
like ours is like with the first kid is the first episode where like the baby book is all filled out and you take good care of them. And as we keep going, we're like, well, we don't need to do that. We
Yeah.
can stop doing that.
yeah. That was me too. I used to do like a pre-chat and all this stuff, and then one day I just skipped that and realized I didn't really need it. Well, I needed it at the beginning because I wasn't very good at it, and now I just like to think I've improved a bit and just jump in. So maybe just because you're first on my screen, Johnny, okay, so explain what you do now professionally.
Well, my job's been pretty much the same since 2008. Full-time music composer.
Full-time
like-
music composer. Is this for anything?
So most of my career, so what made it so I could actually afford to live and do well was ghostwriting. So that is for stuff that doesn't have my name on it, but I do get paid as if it was mine, and the royalties get put to me. So I am very fortunate. It's one of the very few really good ghostwriting setups with an amazing person. And when I want to do anything else, I just take off and do whatever I want to do, and the person's totally cool with it. So I haven't done anything for that person for almost a year because it's been just nonstop other little things. But other than that, just my like fascination has always been animation. So that's been my focus. If I'm not working on stuff for that person, I just want it to be animation stuff or like indie video games for friends, little things.
Yeah. So does this mean you play all these instruments live, or do you just mix it all on the computer?
Depends. If it's if it's like a bass or a guitar or a keyboard, I just play it. If it's anything else, I will mock it up. And if there's budget for it, we will hire people. And then
so what if it's like a harp or a violin and they want it? You can still do that? Like, you don't need to know the fundamentals of playing this instrument to...
You don't need to know them. I do. So I studied music composition all through college, and that was my degree. And I left a semester early because I got hired to do music. And I was like, all right, peace. I followed your footsteps before you.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
But yeah, no, so you don't... to do the mock-ups, like just all in the computer, you don't need to know any of that. But if you know you're going to have live musicians, it is beyond helpful because you need to translate that to stuff people can play. So if you don't know like the open strings of a violin, for example, then you might write some weird shit that no one can play, which when you go to record, so like that string quartet one I was talking about, it was just 1 hour of recording time, basically 3 passes on each cue and done. Wow. And that's because only pull it off because 1, prepared, and 2, it was all playable.
So you had prepared every the music beforehand, send it to them, they had practiced, then you jumped on this call.
No practice. No.
You just hand it to them and they play it immediately. Yeah,
when you're doing a recording session, it's like your session starts at X time. They might get there 10 minutes ahead and they'll load in, tune up, kind of. Then you tell them the concert pitch, whatever, they tune up together, and then they will start while they're getting levels. And that's a recording pass. And they just keep doing like passes. You give them feedback. You say, hey, let's do that legato. Hey, let's bring those dynamics down.
Oh, wow.
Answer questions if they have them. But yeah, no, it's sight reading.
Yeah. So you really have to know your stuff. Like for me, like I'm thinking like, I usually just pay some kind of, Pond 5 or something to get music for my short films and stuff. But if I were to go out and get a composer or like hire composers, I would have no clue what I'm doing. I don't even know how to talk in music terms.
You don't have to.
But like, I'd be like, make it sound fun. And
yeah, no, that's basically it. You shouldn't have to say what to do musically, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so random another question, just because like, I'm always thinking about like kind of the business side of things too. How expensive can this get when you're hiring live people for an hour? And there's like, you're hiring singers, musicians, et cetera, et cetera.
It depends on how many people you're hiring and where you're hiring them. So part of the reason for doing like FAMES in Macedonia or Budapest or any of those, it's more affordable than going to LA. So if in LA for a string quartet, you get a studio 3-hour minimum, and you're gonna get those musicians for the 3 hours plus the operator, the Pro Tools, and everything else. So at that point, you're probably starting around 2,400 and going up.
$2,400.
That's
$2,400 for an hour.
US. Yeah. That's cheap though, and that's LA. But you're gonna get an amazing recording. If you go to like FAMES, it is significantly more affordable.
Right. So like say, I put together a 5-minute short film and I want music composed for this specifically, like what should I budget if I am like, because I would also have to hire you, for instance, who would like make the music and then get it recorded. Like is $2,400, that is probably not going to cover my 5-minute short film.
Again, it's so let's talk about like,
here we are. Let's talk contracts.
No.
I guess I'm just asking for a range. Like, do I need to budget like $10,000 just for people listening who, they're making a short film and they realize like
a 2-minute piece. So here. Okay. So let's talk about, just because I just did a bunch of them, like you said, this Sheridan student films.
Yeah.
So Delaney's was a big band score. So that was very time consuming because I'm scoring it to picture, and then I have to write it again, playable for musicians for a big band. But to save on money, we used one studio, and then I had one trumpet player who did all the trumpet parts, one sax player who played all the different saxes, and one trombonist. But you're talking about having to orchestrate or jazz arrange for all of those different instruments, prepare all the notation sessions. So for something like that, you're spending that's going to be a big budget. If to get a real big band with all the players, it's a very big budget. And then on the other end, like one of the students, it's a great film, but it's a thesis. So, last minute thing. I got it on Saturday morning and we finished it by Saturday night, and it was all in the computer done. I probably did like 3 hours on it. So those are very different budgets for virtually the same length film.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess like a range could be $500 to like $10,000 for a couple of minutes.
I wouldn't do 500.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying like, last minute, we got Johnny here for 3 hours on a Saturday. Like, I don't know what you're charging, but like,
Well, I don't go by time, so it's more just like the thing. But
Gotcha.
realistically, you're starting at a couple $1,000,
Yeah.
and then you're going up to, you know, for small ensembles, like you get 5 figures, and then if you want to do really big, it keeps going up.
Wow, insane. I know I want to like switch back and forth. I find that I get like down rabbit holes with one topic. My last question is, that I forgot it actually.
Perfect, because food.
Oh, the ghostwriting. The ghostwriting.
Oh.
What do you mean by ghostwriting? Like like, is this for like TV shows or jingles or like people who are singing songs or
TV shows?
TV shows. Okay, so you had a deal where somebody had a connection to live action TV shows and they needed background music for these shows, and you ghost wrote for that person.
It's a little more complex than that, but basically it's someone who does a lot of music for a lot of shows and doesn't have the time for them all.
But their name is like pretty reputable.
But that's been, I mean, I've started for that person over a decade ago now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So that one, but like you'll hear about the situations often where it's not good. This is not that. This is very beneficial and great. And
that's great.
Honestly, like the person's been like a mentor and amazing, and like offered to help me move when I moved. Like,
wow,
amazing. So if I'm watching TV and I keep seeing the same name, it's like, I don't know, it's like Mary Bertha on every TV show. I'm like, that's probably Johnny ghostwriting for this person.
No, but honestly, quite often if you see someone's name over and over, no matter what the person is, no matter how big they are, it's probably someone else doing a lot of the work.
Totally. It's like that with, you know, novels and everything. So that's super interesting. I never really thought of that as a music thing.
It's kind of like turning into a production studio. Like if you suddenly had 30 jobs, you would oversee them, right?
I mean, it's my dream that Terry Ibele, the name, is pumping out 10,000 animated pieces a year. And it turns out I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting in Hawaii drinking a cocktail. That would be great.
For the record, this person does work very hard too, but not as hard as Fu Yang.
Yeah. So Fu, tell me, okay. So, you know, Johnny is a professional music composer, and you are, when you introduce yourself, when somebody's like, what do you do? What do you say?
I think it's very easy just to tell other people I'm stop motion animator, but actually I do a lot of things and I haven't really defined who I am, because I feel like for passionate thing, making film is very great and fun. Yeah. But the more time as I really do the night shorts, I found that that's a thing that really motivates me to do it, because I really love anything behind the scenes. Oh, nice. About how other people do the stuff. And I hear so many like Terry's podcast and a lot of podcasts about the artists say they love to draw since they are so little, or I've been always drawing with my life or something. But for me, I feel like I would say when I was a kid, I love watching those films who were recording the process of any kind of projects. So so that's why it's a thing I'm trying to build it out more, no matter what, if there's any benefits or not. But I feel like what I gain from that experience and really talking to the artists.
Totally. And that's such like an up and coming thing. Like the behind the scenes is almost more popular than the actual product on social media and stuff. Like I keep even seeing lately, like those old clips of Walt Disney himself showing like the plain glass and how things are made. And like people love it because people still don't know how animation is made. It's specifically stop motion. Like even when you say, oh, I keep it simple, I say I'm a stop motion animator. Like from my experience, the average Uber driver doesn't even know what that is. So you said you're doing a lot of things right now. So like what are some things, you're working on night shorts, you have this new studio you opened. Are there other parts of film that you're working on?
Well, I still planning and try to do self-funding some shorts I self-create. Like I want to have some personal content out more. And I also collaborate with other authors for a children's book, and
nice.
it's possibly can be a film, and it's possible, but we'll see. I don't know. And
You're illustrating, or you're writing, or you're just involved in the creative process?
I'm illustrating, but I have a lot of freedom to help with the world building or the character.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a fun project. And also, well, I'm interested in games. So I lately have some opportunity to talk about if I can go game animator or something. So yeah, I don't know. I still cannot see where will I be yet.
That's
Just
fine.
anything, yeah, anything that I'm lucky that people open to me the opportunity is usually led me to have creativity. Like I can offer something, I feel it will be fun, and they just open to it and listen.
Yeah, I love that. Like, because there's some people who, you know, they find one thing and they that's their thing and they love it and they just do that. And then I feel like what you just said is you found that you love lots of things and you're just exploring what is interesting. And I think that's great. So, you know, take me back to, you said when you were a kid and you were watching kind of the behind the scenes, and that inspired you to become a stop motion / filmmaker growing up. Like when did that become a serious thing that you were pursuing? At what point? Because you know, you can become a deep sea marine biologist,
oh, that's cool.
astronaut, but you chose to.
Yeah,
she just changed her mind right now on this project. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I'm about to prepare for college, I kind of want to go with the drama, like theater thing already, but I don't, at that time I don't have the courage yet. But during so I go to like foreign literature, and luckily they have special subject all about theater production or reading the script. So I'm involved in that area a lot, and I help with making the stage. And they also, because they saw I like to draw little things, so they also say, oh, are you interested in do some like a interactive projector for live performing? So that's my very first try to do animation, and you know, to be really on the big projector things. I never do animation before at that time, so I was using PowerPoint to do very, just moving objects.
Like scrolling through the slides and it moves?
Yeah. And there are so many screens I need to control when the performance is happening. So I have like five assistants helping me. They each one have a PowerPoint file.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so they have sound cue or any cue, we need to make it out, and they just point it, next slide, or start the animation, something like that. So it was crazy, but we made it.
Yeah, I love that. I also wanted to ask you, you know, you're Taiwanese. At what point did you come to the States?
It's 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I decide I want to make animation to be my major.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Amazing. I love that. And then you worked on the cookie cutter and some personal projects and stuff. Like how did you get involved in actually working on more professional like stop motion animation gigs from, you know, your schooling? Like how did that transition?
It's kind of like first my thesis film, and that sometimes leads me, some people will want to collaborate, but it's always funny that it's kind of not always film, but I help with like music cover design, but I need to sculpt because of the work they saw. And then yes, at that time, most Stamo, they are encouraging us to join in this production. At that time, it's still in the school environment, but later, we professionally move out to do our thing independently. So that's the thing. And I also help with this called Medina Papel, and it is still through the school resources, because one of the alumni was asking, we're looking for stop motion animator and 2D animator, anyone interested? So I still like post my thesis film to them and say, oh, wow, it's really fit. So yeah, that has some income to help me to build more portfolio.
Who was in your class? It was you, Zaldi, Nia, Jack. Because like Zaldi Dingle was on Cookie Cutter with you in your class, and he went to Stupid Buddy for a bit in Burbank.
Oh yeah. He is my senior. Like he is one semester before us. So on the spring show, we already saw his own thesis film, which is already like all the replacement of face, super amazing. Yeah, amazing. But it's because of the Cookie Cutter that we met and said, oh, you're Zaldi Dingle, I saw your shorts. Oh, like that.
That's so fun. Well, I want to talk about how you guys met and all this stuff too, but maybe my last question for you, Fu, is, coming out of school and working on the Cookie Cutter and making your own films and stuff, and now moving and creating this bigger studio, like what is kind of this a big goal for you on this path that you're looking towards?
My biggest goal will be I'll learn more about self-funding, really, and I love collaborating. So I want, in the end, really, it will be a space I can help with more international students to help with their visa thing, OPT and their STEM visa, and they really can, just have their creativity to make stuff in the film. So that's the final goal.
Wait, your goal is to help international students. Well, I was going to say here, but I'm in Canada, in the US, to get their visas and everything completed, and then, collaborate creatively with them. Yeah,
they need to be paid. Through the experience, I really want them to be taken good care of.
That's such a nice goal. That's amazing. Does this come out of an experience that you had coming here?
I think I need to thanks to most David, because at that time, I help him with the Cookie Cutter is under the OPT visa that under David's shield. He's helping me with that, so I can stay in the United States and work on something I like and grow with him. So yeah, that's the encouragement for me to say, if I have the strength, I want to offer that to other people too.
Interesting, because you mentioned one of your classmates went to go work for Stupid Buddy. Do you see yourself, working for a studio similarly, or you said you are very interested in self-funding your own films?
Yeah, I found that I do prefer to learn how to self-funding. I do have internship opportunity. Like I go through the selection with Leica.
Yeah.
Like twice, but no, I didn't get to the final, but it's always very happy to hear that. Oh, congratulations, you are one of the, and
they're so stringent on who they take. That's amazing.
Yeah, but it's funny that I know Leica has such an amazing place. I'll see so many talented people, but in my guts, when I am waiting for the final result, I am very unsettled. I feel like but I don't want to move there, and I don't feel that's really about me. I don't really want it, and in the end, I don't get it. But when I really want something else, I really get it. So it's interesting.
I wonder if it has to do with, your internal goal of what you said before, that you just like working on a lot of creative different things. Whereas if you were at Leica, you would be, very specifically animating one thing and not involved in the creative process at all of that. So maybe there's something that doesn't sit right underneath. Okay, well,
are you willing to talk about what you and your husband are cooking up as a concept? Your idea that you think you might want to go do?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can share. You mean the studio thing?
Oh yeah, sure, that. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so
Johnny has all this intel.
Yeah, one of our goal is that we will have our studio called La Bobo Studio. Yeah, and we have our puppy called Bodhi. So the Bobo is kind of also relates to him. And yes, like Ben is my husband, and he's very great at visual design in film and in game. So he'll help with the concept things, and I can wrapping up a lot of the rest of stuff of the production. So we hope to have more of that. And we have a musician with us too. That is Johnny. So he's part of the Lovable
I'm
Studio.
hired? Yay.
Yeah, you're hired. If we have budget, yeah. So
oh no, yeah, come on with you. But yeah, her husband can also his art is wow.
He's an animator as well. You said Ben?
He's mainly concept artist, visual development. Artist. Yeah, so when I do with animation wildcard, our snuggle time, the visual thing, the character design and the key light is inspired by him.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. I love that. Nice. I'm like so tempted to just go and like talk about you individually forever, but then that would be two different podcasts. And I think this podcast, I really want to know, you guys started this huge project. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, Fu
started this huge project specifically to compete with me.
No way.
Just kidding.
She said that. She's like, "Fuck that guy! I'm gonna take him down."
Yeah, he's gonna take him down.
He's so tall. He's gonna lose to me.
Fight.
No, but you guys started Nice Shorts, which is this amazing, super I don't know, like real, honest conversation with animators about how they make things happen and the process behind it and everything. First of all, how did you two meet? And then, well, let's start with that. Who wants to share the story of how you met? Maybe Johnny, since you haven't talked in a bit.
Oh, I was gonna, yeah, okay. Also, so it all started with Fu.
What you mean? I start the story. I think the story should start from you because it's you to
But you're way more interesting, I promise.
But what I remember is that I start to have conversation with Johnny is because Johnny saw Snuggle Time. Is that correct?
Snuggle Time, and then okay. So also we're calling him Kevin, right? The puppet from Cookie Monster.
Oh, Steven, that's
right, Steven. So yes. Like she posted a little clip of like Steven crawling to a 2021, and this is right at the beginning of our shutdown in California. We had it like we were shut down for a while, which is weird because you go through LA and it was empty freeways. But she posted this thing of him like crawling and it had no sound, and I just asked her, I'm like, you mind if I just for the hell of it just add some stuff to it?
Wait, so you just saw this on like Instagram or something?
Yeah.
You were just scrolling through, never seen this art before, didn't know who Fu was.
I think we had like kind of just said hi to each other, but basically, yeah. I'm very like, if I could do everything for free all the time, I would. Like I just like making sounds and music. It's just, yeah, I mean.
So you just unpromptedly reached out on Fu's Instagram and said, "Can I do some sound to this?"
I asked her if it'd be okay if I could just play with some audio with the clip, like if she could just send it to me. And she did, and I just sent it back. I'm like, hey, I just messed around with it. Here are some things I did. And then she's like, mind if I share them? I'm like, go for it.
So this is interesting to me because this has happened to me before as well on my Instagram, maybe 2 or 3 times where somebody's been like, hey, I'm trying to get some experience. Do you mind if I just add some music to your thing? And then I say, yeah, sometimes I posted it. Sometimes I've just been like, thanks, that was cool. What your reasoning was just like, I have time for a fun project, or was there like a different goal in mind?
I'm not sure I had time. I think I just wanted to do it.
Okay. So you just connected with this thing and just did it. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, and the first one wasn't even music. It was like just weird slappy sounds of like this thing crawling in a void against like a void floor.
Yeah, and he not only just do one version sound design, but also he gave me two versions. I was like, wow, and in such a short time, and I was super impressed by that.
I just was having fun. Like I just literally saw it and just wanted to play with it, like a puppy with a new toy. I'm like, hey, I want to bite that stick. Oh.
I love that. And obviously you guys have like great chemistry when you're talking and interviewing. So it's like it's like a great interviewing match. How did this conversation between you posting some slapping noises evolve into let's start a huge commitment project together in our free time? Like how, what, why?
All of those.
People ask me all the time why I ask podcasts, and I want to know why you started your podcast.
Yeah, I actually when I was still working at Mostamo, I already helped with some of the podcasting.
Okay.
And I help with editing and some of the cover design things. And I was so excited during the process, like, oh, so cool. I just want to add in some more new elements or something I want to push further. So yeah, that's something in my mind. And I haven't decided if I'm going to have a co-host. There's not that kind of idea in my head yet. But as I start to know Johnny, and I still kept his very early like hello message. He's really a kind man. Like he say a lot of nice words and just very friendly message. Nothing like it, just sincerely want to make friends. And also later I start to notice who Johnny is, and I found every post I saw, the artist I followed, I can see Johnny has already liked it. It's so like Johnny like this, Johnny like this. I say, hey, we have similar taste about the work we like, and yeah, that means a lot of stop motion and some animation films we like. And it's like, oh, great, we have the same taste. And also, he's just, I feel like he really great at talking to people, and like that's the thing I lack of. Johnny has just have the chemistry. He has very fun things.
So two questions. One is, why didn't you decide to do this through Mo Stop Mo? Because that's already, it's like an organization that's trying to build up, community with stop motion, etc.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
What?
No.
Is this something I shouldn't ask?
No, you're totally good. I'm like you to talk her out as being a co-host. No. You're good.
Oh.
So what's your question again?
My question. I feel confused. Maybe I shouldn't ask this question.
No, you're totally good. I'm sorry. Please cut me out.
I'm making a note to myself to look at this later and see if I need to make an edit.
Okay.
My question is, why did you not? So you're already working with Mo Stop Mo, and you wanted to do a podcast. Why did you decide not to do it with Mo Stop Mo and then to do it kind of on your own?
Because I want to have more control.
Yeah.
I want to.
Maybe this is a bad question to ask.
Just because you can decide, because for Mo Stop Mo, I need to consider about the brand. I need to respect what is aiming for. And I found the goal, the direction might be not always what I wish, what I want to hear, or what I want to ask. So that's why I decided. And also, when I was doing Mo Stop Mo, I feel my confidence is not strong enough. First, like English is not my first language. So I always need to ask the host to help me to ask that question. But later on, I found like, no, I can't. I need to, if I really want to learn, I need to reach out myself. I need to boost up my confidence. So that's also why I think I need to learn to be the host and learn to interact directly with the artists I like. So that's also why I want to build it up by myself. And nice. But I found, Johnny. So Johnny is throughout the process is like a mentor, really, because a lot of time I don't, such as the Calendly.
Calendly.
Calendly, and a lot of like art Airtable, like all of those organizing and collaborating softwares like it's him introduced those to me and kind of lead me to know how to work better with others, because I'm so used to do things on my own.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy to let me learn and very patiently teach me about interface as well. And yeah, and through he talks with other guests, I am the very serious one. If it's really only me to host, it will be super dry because I always ask super serious question. Why? But Johnny will, he will relax. He will relax.
Why'd you do that?
Yes. Why? Tell me why. I want pictures, something like that. But he will just mix it up, and he's really fun to talk with.
So, okay. So there's so much going on in my mind right now. So you started talking with Johnny through Instagram, I guess, DMs or something. And then at some point you made a personal goal of yourself to start a podcast where you dig into the short films that you've enjoyed and find out the process behind them as kind of like this confidence booster thing to learn more about the process. And then you pitched this to Johnny and said, hey, do you want to jump on a call and talk about this?
Yeah. So Johnny suggests, I think Johnny was setting up the Zoom meeting once a month, like regularly.
We were just hanging out. Like we were just hanging out and talk about,
That's
we were just
so
talking about animation
cute.
stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we are chatting.
we had other things. So maybe we'll get to them someday, but we had other things.
We will.
We have ideas for things to do.
Yes, we have.
And
ideas.
this is just the one idea that happened to come to fruition first, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I think, yes, that idea comes first. We talk a lot about the concept and some visual stuff about the form. And Johnny is writing, he's writing scripts, things like that. And then, but when the podcast, I really feel like I really want to do it. So I started asking, and that's the thing to push it earlier for now. Yeah.
So what is the overarching goal of having this podcast and making it public? Like what is the intention behind doing this project at the end of the day?
Johnny?
My goal with it is I'm just happy to, like, I'm the opposite of a reality TV person. Like I go everywhere to make friends. Like I'm just here to make friends. Although,
okay, so I know how much work a podcast takes. Like it takes hours to plan. You got to make connections. You got to find people. You got to convince them to come on the podcast. You got to prepare questions. You got to bring them on. Then you got to edit it. Then you got to post it. Then you got to there's hours and hours of work. And you've been doing this for quite a while now. So there's an underlying drive, like something of. If you're just on to make friends, I think there's an easier way to make friends. But like, what is the thing that like you're really aiming for that gets you excited to keep doing these episodes after so long? And like, what is that? I'm super interested.
So Fu originally came and said that she wanted to do a behind the scenes and she wanted to, better her learning about it. And that's what she pitched to me with the podcast. And I like it. I was extremely flattered to be asked. Like I mean, just to hang out with her, she's awesome and she's very inspiring. And she talks about like worrying about her second language, but I'm like, do you know how fucking hard it is to be funny in a second language? Like get the hell out. Like that, like she's incredibly intelligent. She's well thought out on everything. And I was like, you want me to do this? I am flattered, and hell yeah, I'll do anything you want. And then my goal is part of the reason I like animation is just there's so many incredible humans, like to just shout about all of them from the rooftop and go like, have you fucking seen this person and what they make? What is like, look at this human. And there's so many of those, right? And I've been fortunate to meet and work for unbelievably amazing humans, and that's many of the first guests were either people that one of us knew. And it's just like to be able to ask them questions you don't get asked while you're working. And then even though we don't have anywhere, like we're just starting, so our viewer base is whatever, but if even like a handful of people could learn about these humans we know, it's just that to me, that is worth any amount of hours of preparation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I feel like if I am more younger, I only care about making art. But when I grow older, I feel like it is the human thing, like the growth. It more matters to me. You feel more easy to be touched by the work if you hear how the story behind is, it make it more solid. And I don't feel like I want to just be an animator and just keep doing that kind of area. I am interested in doing, just being like a media to give some message, or just really just connect each other, try to build that network for everyone. And I hope it can be educational. It's kind of like symmetry to Mostamo, what he's aiming for, or Animation Wildcard, what they are aiming for. That's I love those platforms. So I learn from them, and I also see what I can do on my side to spread it out.
Interesting. So do you see the podcast as part of something bigger, like one piece of building a community or whatnot? Because this is something that I've thought about for my podcast too, because I end up interviewing a lot of people, and I love when I hear that people have made connections behind the scenes because of listening to somebody on the podcast and reaching out to them. And there's like there's community going on offline the podcast just from having this. And so I've thought about like, how can I increase and enable that? And I haven't really, first of all, it's a time commitment issue for me because I can't build everything. And second of all, I'm not too sure like I've thought of having like a Discord channel, which kind of Animation Wildcard has, or like, a meetup or something, or bringing on like a panel where people can join live. And I haven't really figured out what that might look like. So I'm wondering, it sounds like you're thinking about similar things. Is the podcast one piece of a bigger thing in your mind?
I think so, yeah.
Do you have any ideas of what the other pieces are?
Other pieces will still like back to, I want to make the studio more steady, like it really can run someday. And so that could be the bigger thing, right? So I still have something behind the scene to share with everyone. I have those artists in Connect. I can invite them to collaborate together. And also, like, if there are younger artists, they want to join in, they want to do some internship things, that could be a thing I can do. I hope so.
Food's headhunting with it.
It's just you're interviewing people. It's actually the interview to bring on a project.
Every person I interview, I would love to collaborate with them.
Yeah.
And then like some people like Eddie and Stephanie, who are the husband and wife team, like bring them on. And I just wanted, like, they pitched some of their shows, but like, I just want someone to pick up their ideas. Like my goal is they get to put their brains to their IP. Like I just want so I want to make people have their own careers. Fu wants to make them work for her. Pretty close.
No, so we I'm chatting with Johnny, we were talking about like the producer role too, like how to really make it happen for the projects we like, and potentially, and we can help it really run.
Interesting.
That's a conversation. Yeah.
So would you, because like, how do you use the podcast to help enable that? I guess I'm just wondering, because you could like interview investment people and find out how they learn about projects and then tell them about the projects. I guess, like, is there kind of a plan, or is this with the podcast to enable that, or it's just, I don't even know what I'm asking.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, talk amongst yourselves. Actually, why don't I just switch it up a bit? Johnny, you're not traditionally an animation person, and I'm assuming you've learned a lot from, here I'm making a judgment about you, but I'm assuming you've learned a lot about just the animation process and behind the scenes from the podcast. What is that true?
Yeah, well, not just from the podcast, but just the community in general. I mean, so working with animators, you learn a lot, but then getting to interview and talk to more animators, I learned so much more. And it's just eye-opening. I don't know, like, so when we talk to Dux, like he and I have been friends for a while, and you know, you are as well.
Yeah.
But like he walked through all the thought he put into his thing, and it's just every time anyone opens up their thought process behind something, you're gonna learn from it, and it's just gonna make you a more aware person in general, and it's just carry that forward.
I remember that conversation specifically because he even talks about how the reasoning behind, like, he chose the colors of their skin and their shirts, and the, you know, I've been following his work for years and years, and I didn't think about it once. But like from an overall thesis perspective, like I saw his film. I attended his thesis showing or whatever. I saw you there. I saw the film. I don't think many people, it's not public yet, but seeing it in like a complete sense and knowing all the stuff behind it gives me such a greater appreciation for what it is. And I wouldn't have picked up on all those subtle things. And I totally agree with you, you know, like having a podcast and being able to grill somebody of what it takes to put together something like Fu, you were saying, like there's so many incredible people, etc. Like it's tough to make an animated film like on the side or even to self-fund it, because it's so much work, and like, you know, you have to give up and sacrifice so many other things to make this happen. So there's like, it's for me, it's super interesting to hear the core of a person and why they're pursuing this in the first place. And that's also why I kind of asked you why you're pursuing this podcast, because it's, you know, it's a hugely personal project. You're investing all your time in, etc. So I think it's super cool that one of you wants to hire everybody and the other person wants to get everybody hired. Do you want to, since you've talked so much behind the scenes stuff, do you want to share kind of your process behind putting together a podcast episode?
I just suddenly know another reason why I like Johnny to be on the show is also because, you know, he's he's a composer. Like he know all of the audio stuff, and that's the area I lack of. I don't have that kind. So it's so fun and great to learn from him about that. And when he talked to us, we say all the visual stuff, but he can add in something to mix together with the whole film thing. Yeah, Johnny, what are you?
I don't know everything. I want to promise. Like I'm not some, I know it all. I am always learning.
That's good.
I appreciate your humbleness, but also you're an amazing composer who
thank you.
Helps out countless Sheridan animation students make their films phenomenal. Because like really, you know, music storytelling and composing is almost, it's like half of a short film. Like if you don't have the music, there's so much emotion and like stuff that you lose just from not hearing it. I can't remember, there's like some famous animator that said like music is half of animation or something like that, and it really is true.
I agree. Yes.
I hear that, and I think, and I constantly get, and like, it's okay. I love student films beyond belief for a lot of reasons. One, many of these students, so they're studying to do rigs, or they're studying to do a background or layouts. Some want to animate, like full on to do their own studio, but for many of them, this will be the only film they ever make. Right? Yeah. So it's a huge moment in their life that you get to be a part of, and that's just incredibly amazing. But also, they don't have network notes, so it's someone making what they want to make. Like, there's one I did that I just finished for a student in California, and it's a 7-minute hand done one that they've had going through their head since they were in high school. So it's a long time. Yeah, they've got it all thought out, and it's like, it's just this moment. But okay, anyway, the point is, the reason I don't say it's half is because I'm not creating half the concept. Like the person has thought out all of that. I'm just basically painting by numbers at that point. Like the mood's there. So it's, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm
well, I guess
it's
it's
just amazing.
I guess it's more like half from an audience's experience, you know, versus like the concept and the design and the animation. It's like that takes its own amount of work and whatever to get labor to get there. But the music, yeah, for sure, it has a huge influence on things. Like, I don't know, imagine Star Wars without the the Emperor's walk in or whatever. Like the moment when the Death Star or the Star Destroyer comes out and the dun, dun, dun. Like if that wasn't there, that moment would be like so less like impactful. Like there's so many things in where music is just like all the Lord of the Rings music, etc. Like, anyways, I'm just curious, how many student films did you work on this year?
So student films this year in total 10, but only eight from Sheridan. It was rough though, because I was doing the Apartment D thing for American Girl, the Mattel thing.
Yeah, that was super cool.
It was fun. That was a lot of work. We finished that. So I finished that at the end of January. So I started the student films in February, but I also have, I was doing a short film, like the shit show was going at the same time. And then I had a few other things I was wrapping up at the same time. So it was a lot. So in like February and March, it was like combined like an hour and something of music.
Are you just at home all day doing music stuff? Like, do you take breaks?
So my breaks are usually also music. Like,
look at his
my
hair.
breaks from animating are watching animations. Like,
yeah, it was a busy period.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think that's super cool. And like, it seemed like every film at Sheridan had like a Johnny Knittle credit in it, which was amazing. I haven't seen them all, unfortunately, this year, but I have seen a couple. And
it would have been your class, right?
Yeah, it would have been my class, which is like kind of bittersweet for me because I would have been finishing up my thesis film as well. So I'll have to make my own thesis film at some point on my own, I guess. Just take a year off.
Whatever you get, so you're gonna get one of your shows picked up. When you do, just throw in the Sheridan S logo at the end and go, does that count?
Yeah, right. Like Steven Spielberg got his degree like humorously or whatever, after he finished Schindler's List, like that kind of story.
Wait,
where he submitted that as his thesis film.
Imagine if he got rejected for that. That is, I didn't know that.
I could be getting this story wrong, but I believe he submitted Schindler's List as his like thesis film because he never finished school or something, and they like gave him the degree from that. I don't know if I'm somebody's listening to this and being like, Terry, you're so wrong. This is
no. We're gonna make this official no matter what. If anyone's listening to this and it's wrong, go fix Wikipedia so it's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, dive into your behind the scenes of creating an animation show podcast called Nice Shorts, with a cute little jingle in the intro, quirky like dad jokes throughout, and editing and art and all this stuff.
All this stuff. Okay.
Where does it start?
What, when, or what?
What, where, why, how? I mean, I don't know how I run my podcast, but I'm wondering, how do you get people to come on? Like, how do you make these connections? How do you actually run it? What goes on behind the scenes for people who are listening about and they're interested in, what actually goes into making a nice short?
Yeah. Johnny, you say or I say?
Thanks.
Well, the dad jokes are just because I'm a silly man. The quirky theme song is because we were going to release a podcast in like a day and a half. So I pulled out my phone and sang it real fast and then just put it in the computer and added some music. The rest is all Fu being amazing. I show up with Fu and talk, and then Fu spends a full-time job editing.
Oh, I really do it as a full-time job. Oh my God. That's also because at that time I don't.
We'll start at the beginning for me. You reach out to people. How do you reach out to people? How do you convince people to come on this podcast of yours?
We are very, very lucky because we ask our friend. And they are very supportive. They just say yes to us. So for that, it's already like at least 8 to 10 guests. Like yes.
Yeah.
Like that, right? Yeah.
No,
what?
please, sorry, please.
Yeah, and we also invite animation wildcard founders. We love their work, such as Magical Cat to Threadwoods. So yeah, they say yes too. So yeah, looking forward it comes out. Yeah, and yeah, that's just our inner friends. And also Johnny's he helps with the thesis film or some work. So he invite students to join in too. That's why we have Natalie and Bailey, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so far that's probably my most successful moment is connecting Bailey and Ducks, because their Star Trek madness has gone off the deep end and I love it.
Wait, you connected them?
For something separate, I will often try to connect people if I think the people will get along or anything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I connected a student from Southern California with Olivia because they both like have a thesis that was based around this kind of guitar rock vibe, and I'm like, their styles are similar. I'm like, do you two mind if I like connect you via email? So anyway,
yeah, that's hilarious. I love all of their Star Trek shenanigan fan art stuff that they both do.
It's wild. It's so good.
But so you reached out to your friends and they said yes, and then you panicked and said we have to do this.
Yeah, it's Johnny, it's real. And then Johnny said, let's set up a calendar. Like
that did happen. Oh, Johnny, it's real. Oh shit.
So then, what goes into creating a podcast episode behind the scenes? How much time do you spend? Where does it start? How do you book things?
We book very intense, right? Is that like very early stage, a month? How many is there? One day after another.
Yeah, we crammed them all in together as much as possible. Like, so I use Calendly all the time just because I love it. It's a great tool. I created an event for it that anyone could pick from our schedules, and then we have a schedule set up for those, and they can only book one per day. And then what we did is we sent out a bunch of invites to, like, the original was like 8 people that we had, and just let them pick their days, and we knocked them all out in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And Fu spent 300 years having to edit them.
So you just did like a whole week of interviews, and then you had like a good backlog, and then you're like, now I can schedule these for going forward.
Yeah. For the schedule, like we have stored them for a couple months because at that time I forgot what something happened in my life, but it's like I'm preparing to figure out how do I really, what's the result should look like. So it takes me some time for that. And also like Johnny make the theme song, and we try to organize what do we really want it to be. Like there are so many freedoms. Yeah. And our show, we actually have a baby name list, and we let our early guests to vote for what kind of name they are more interested in. Everyone had 3 votes on what.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Well, do you still remember, Johnny? Like
I don't. I just had a lot of silly ideas. It was very silly things.
Yeah, but I love that. You're also making it fun. Like, I came on your podcast, and like you had me fill out questions and answer questions and ask questions for the next guest, and all this.
You passed, by the way.
I passed.
Yeah, that tiny thing is design. Johnny suggests like, hey, there's something we can play with. So that's so cool.
It keeps it super fun. Like that's something that I feel like maybe I haven't focused on in my podcast, is to like, keep the mood light, because often people say like your podcast is so professional or intimidating, and I don't intend for it to be like that at all. Versus like when I listen to your podcast, I just feel like, I usually just put it on, and like while I'm doing something, I just listen to it, and it's just like a super nice conversation. So so you record this, it's like all over Zoom, right? Zoom?
It wasn't at first, and it was over. I don't want to slander the company. It was a different thing. Discord, Skype. I started out using Skype and quickly canceled that. So we used Riverside.fm.
Never heard of it.
it's fine, but like it became a headache because we brought people into Zoom, then had to send them there. The audio setup was very different, and it was causing friction. And Fu kept saying, "Hey, Johnny, maybe we don't use it." And I'm like, "But it's a better quality." And she's right, of course.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even like people even are concerned about the mic and stuff they're using, and I've just found their laptop audio is good enough for. There's maybe been like 3 episodes that I've published that the audio is kind of crappy, but otherwise I just find that people's even their like I can't think of the earbuds pads is like good enough quality. Okay, so then you have this recording, and then Fu spends 10 hours editing it, which is crazy. I personally don't edit it mine at all. I just clip the beginning, clip the end, and then publish it, and then like
that is smart. That's the right thing.
I usually listen to it after it's published.
Yours
and
is like
if
a
something's weird, then I'll take it down and like immediately change it, because I found that like if I don't edit it at all, the process is just so much quicker.
Yeah, good.
But also I'm only doing this once. I'm doing this every week versus you're only doing it about once a month, which is totally different. I've actually thought about doing it like your way and then publishing once a month and making it a little bit higher quality. But I don't know, whatever.
I like yours. I listened to one today. Like yours are just
You listen to one today?
Yeah.
Well,
the guy who lost his Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Nixon, like with the goggles.
Nixon. Yeah, he got his Instagram back, thankfully. But yeah, his stuff is, I don't know if you've seen his stuff, but it's like as soon as I saw it on Instagram, I was like, I have to interview this guy. It's like he creates like AR animations, like augmented reality animations for like social media. It's like super cool. Yeah, so well, thank you for listening to that.
I've listened to a lot of them. They're really good.
It's actually funny. I made a note in my, so when I'm doing the interview, I have like a Google Doc open that I don't know if you've heard of typing. Like I type out questions I want to ask during the process, or if something happens, I'll type like a timestamp and be like, edit this out. So in his notes that I had, because the interview we had was like back in September or something, and I only published it it's like May now. I had a thing saying like there was a dog barking or a doorbell or something that I had to edit out, and I listened to the whole thing. I couldn't find it, so I was like, oh well, somebody hears this. So Johnny, did you hear like
I didn't notice it.
Okay, great. Perfect.
And hearing a dog bark on a Zoom interview is kind of like now just like a little moment of, oh, there's a puppy.
Yeah, but I think it was something like a dog barked or something, and it was either my dog or his dog or something, and somebody has to like go to the door and come back. I don't know, but anyways,
don't worry about that.
Don't worry, not worrying about it. But thank you for listening. Okay, so you edit it, and then do you host it somewhere, or does it just go on YouTube? Like, do you have it on all the streaming? I've only listened to yours on YouTube actually. Do you have it on all the streaming platforms as well, like iTunes, etc.?
Yes.
Okay. See that? Here I am embarrassing myself.
No. But it's the reason I said it weird is because like the first one in particular is visual heavy, because I think the very first one was it was Nia, and then the audio didn't work. So Nia actually did it completely again. So Nia was like beta and then later, but Docs ended up being the first one. And it was so much visual, like screen sharing.
Yeah.
So we have an audio version of it, but if you listen to it, I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, because you edit in like footage of what the person is talking about.
Yeah.
So I think that's super cool. And that's why, that's why I also listen on YouTube, because I can just like glance over. So can I ask you like I host mine on SoundCloud, and then I use like the RSS feed to like publish it everywhere. And that's just, it's been easiest for me. Are you using a similar, like what platform are you using? I'm just curious.
Fu puts it on YouTube, and then I take the audio and put it on Anchor, and that just feeds it out. And I hooked Anchor FM up to everything, because I'm sure you had to go through it, but starting the podcast and getting it into all those the very first time it's a nightmare. You
have to set up all these profiles. They all want different password stuff. You paste your RSS feed. You got to make sure it's all good. Is Anchor paid? Like I have to pay for my SoundCloud
Anchor's
hosting?
free. There might be reasons to pay for it. I don't know, but we currently, the only things we pay for are like the services I already had. I just upgraded them to include Foo in it and then added a nice short. Like I already had Calendly, upgraded it to add Foo.
Yeah.
I already had like Zoom paid for and all that stuff.
Yeah. I only pay for Zoom when I know there's going to be more than one other person on the call, which ends up being like 9 months out of the year anyways. So
we'll pay you, we'll reimburse you for it.
Thank
yeah.
you,
Well, that's also why I seek out like sponsors, which basically just pay for my hosting fees, which is great. So have you ever thought of doing that yourselves?
That would be nice. Yeah, I would love to learn from you. Please, another episode, please.
Okay, we'll do an episode on how to find sponsors for your animation podcast.
How to give money to Foo, the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe pay Johnny first.
So well, thanks for diving into the behind the scenes for me. I'm wondering, now that you've been doing this for a while, how has this kind of changed things for you? Either what you've learned or the connections you've made or how you've approached your career or your mindset about approaching things. How has the podcast actually changed your approach to what you're doing with your career?
Our life. Johnny, you want to go first? I think yours is incredible.
Thank you. So tell me all about yours.
Well, come on.
I think it probably impacts your day-to-day more just because of how much, like my side of it is so much less work than Foo's. Like I said, the theme song was literally, I'm not shooting you when I say like, oh, I'm sorry, I keep making these cuss words on your.
I don't care.
Okay. But like the theme song was literally like 15 minutes. Like we interview, I can talk. You were on a podcast. I like to ask a lot of questions, do rabbit holes, and go down weird paths. So I could talk for a while, and then Foo spends at least 10 times as long editing everything. It is ungodly how hard of a worker she is on everything she does, and her diligence and like how like the bar she sets for herself on all the work is impressive.
It's so nice to hear you. I ask a question about how it's changed things for you, and you just end up complimenting each other. I think that's amazing. You guys are so cute.
But I can share one. I feel it's very beautiful, and I'm very happy to see this happen. Is that Johnny co-host with me, and then I saw he has so many interaction with those artists, and he even like they help each other. He helps with some festival promo with the audio thing, sometimes Martina. With the Martina, and sometimes with the clips, sometimes with the new submission. Like he just keep going, and people do ask him, can you help me with that something? So that's the real collaboration I feel is happening. But I like to see that.
Just full disclaimer for anyone listening, I help people for things that are like for fun or help is
like you are term. Interested.
They still, there's still usually money involved somehow, not always, but if it's a commercial project, it's not. Don't ask me for help, because if you're gonna make money off of it, I'm not gonna just. So like Sonic branding stuff is gonna be, you're gonna be paying a lot, but yeah, just quick disclaimer. So it's not just hey, do this. Okay, cool.
Of course.
But yeah, food. It's like, so here's a fun one. This is why career paths are so hard to explain. Like I've gotten so many jobs just from like a random lunch or a random person, but like the apartment D thing was because of Foo. Because of Foo, I met Casey and Lex from Animation Wildcard. Because of Animation Wildcard and talking to Lex and Casey a bunch of times, just on the side, like literally Zoom hanging out, they became friends, and they introduced, like Cami was like, I need a composer for this, and Lex was like, oh, Johnny. And so because of Foo, like just these little links end up doing the American Girl doll. Like my first stop motion thing I've done. And that was because of Cami and that stop motion. Max over there, before we even wrapped, like, hey, do you mind if I introduce you to a director friend of mine? I'm like, yeah, would love to. Yes, I mind. And then ended up doing a shit show. So like, it's just one of those, it's just always dominoes. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great testament to what you originally set out to do, which is build a kind of a community and like promote people's work, and it ends up even benefiting yourselves.
I'm trying to get others hired though. They keep hiring me.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, because like a lot of the time, animators and maybe music people, I don't know, can be a little bit more introverted when it comes to making connections and networking. And the story you just told me is like a proof of how meeting somebody and just being a kind of cool, no nefarious intentions leads to working and meeting other cool people. So yeah. Like Apartment D would have had to find a composer to work on that stuff regardless, and you happen to make some cool connections with these people who are knew you, etc., and there you are, right?
Oh, it was kismet. I had a gap. They needed someone the next week, and I had a gap in my schedule literally for 2 months, like right when they needed 2 months. I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh,
it was weird. That's perfect. I mean, that's our careers, right? It's like just things lining up.
And then you can go for 6 months and have nothing.
I have been very fortunate.
Not for Johnny.
I sent my first outbound email for a gig yesterday. Before, other than that, last time
your first outbound email.
Yeah, everything. So since August, everything's been inbound.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah,
it's very fortunate, and all because of food, probably.
Wow. No way.
So you're paying a commission, is what I understand.
I should just make her an agent.
So Fu's becoming an agent from using the podcast to connect people.
So okay,
well, let me ask you, maybe as like a big overarching, maybe ending question, is like, what do you want we talked so much about Nice Shorts, how you started it. It was part of, one of the multiple projects that you were working on, and it also coincided with both of what you have been doing in your careers. And it's just like a nice amalgamation of two people really passionate about what they're doing, coming together and like sharing their knowledge and helping other people collab. It's amazing. What is your dream for Nice Shorts? Like, projected into episode 161. What is that? What is it? What's the dream?
My very solid is yes, as at least 100 episodes, at least.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Do you know that I actually made when I first started my podcast, I made a list of every single animation podcast I could possibly find. There's more now, but I found like over 50, and not a lot make it to like even episode 20. A lot of them. No, I don't mean that in a bad thing at all, but I love your goal, because so many people, they start it and then it trails off. Life happens, whatever, etc. Yeah. So I think that goal is amazing, and you should be proud of yourself. Like, and that's really cool.
Still have that goal after knowing how much editing was involved. I'm very impressed.
Well, it can evolve too, because like,
it will. Actually, it will. Yes, we are still trying to find the best way, to save our time, but also keep the quality. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do you have it? So like the dream is to hit 100 episodes, just, I guess, foreseeable future. Are there any kind of like success metrics attached to that? Like, success metric might be like 1 million people listen to it, or 25 people end up getting something funded or collabed, or wow. Is there something that you wish to facilitate with the podcast itself?
Johnny, you have I have some answer, but how about you?
She doesn't want to tell you until you say first.
No, I was gonna defer to you, because I'm curious too, like Fu, like, because the whole thing was it came from your brain, and I'm curious, like, after 100 episodes, so we finish the podcast, we put it out, like, what happens next in your day? Like, what's the next thing that you leave the room, you're done editing, where do you walk and what do you do?
After editing, what do I do?
Like you put the podcast episode out, and then you go walk to do what? You walk to the studio and you're working with someone from like episode 3, or like Terry's in there, or like, I'm curious to know, like, what's your next thing?
I am very obsessed with something I put out. So usually when I release that episode, I will recheck the whole clip again and to make sure every link works, any descriptions, like just to make sure I don't want anything mistake. That's what I would do. And then the day just ends.
But so what was your answer about, like, where
my
do you see
answer?
it? Yeah.
There's a thing in my mind. I don't know, it might never happen, but we had mentioned about festival thing too, right? Like it will be so fun.
The thing I wanted to do?
Yeah, the thing you want to do.
I so want to do that someday. Okay. Well, okay, yeah. So
wait. You talk about the festival, and I mentioned the last thing in my mind. My super final goal, not goal, the dream is that it would be so nice if there's a reality competition show about, each episode is you make a clip, you make an animation, that kind of show. Why I don't remember if there is.
Pitch this idea to my friends as well.
Yeah, what?
It's like, there's all these reality shows where it's like, they have makeup competitions or they have to like do glass blowing. And I'm like, why isn't there one where you like you have like a week or a day or something to make an animation?
Yeah.
And
why?
everybody I pitch it to is like, because it takes so long.
Host it by Lindsay.
Like,
have Lindsay Beckenbauer do it, and then you can call it 10 seconds a day. And like,
oh my goodness. Yeah, she's just her.
She's like, are you done yet?
but we have similar, like 72 hours or 24 hours. Yeah, right. We just need a team to record them.
Totally. Like this week's challenge is like, Fleischer rubber hose challenge, and next week is like animated, like whatever, or like use these found objects I think it's super cool. I can't believe you just said this. I've never heard anybody else have this idea.
I think of it so long time. I'm so happy I found someone.
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe we should collab and make this happen.
You should.
Her reference
point. You foresee like the podcast turning into something like a reality show.
It can be a show. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wait, what's the show you always reference? Because it's a great show.
Which show you mean?
Yeah, making it.
Oh, making it. Yeah, that's one of it. Yes, making it is more craft, right?
Which is similar to stop motion, I guess.
Yeah. Make it into animation. Yes. Yeah, there are other like too much. We're ending. I know. Sorry, Terry. But
no, that's
Johnny,
fine. This is so fun.
So the festival thing. So I'm from Southern California, right? Like I just moved to the East Coast last year just for the hell of it. But so in Orange County, there's a little theater called the Frida in Santa Ana. And as these students were putting out their thesis films, I was curious how much people rent the theater. And it wasn't much. And I'm like, that'd be fun. Because when I was way younger, I would go to Spike and Mike's when they would be out in like Long Beach. And those, you see a documentary on them, you're like, oh, problematic. Didn't realize that. So maybe like a less problematic version of that. But for student thesis films, and then like for the Sheridan one, there's so many that are put out and there's so many great schools. It'd be rad to just kind of, I made a joke that because of all of the Sheridan things I did, go up there and rent a theater and just have all those films be there. Yeah. I'm like, well, why don't we just kind of try to do like a traveling to all of them? Like go to Southern California and rent a couple different theaters, or like go up to Toronto and like rent a place and just have a big free-for-all, and the students get to see all their films and have just random people show up and hang out and make it a big party.
That sounds amazing. I mean, maybe it's the perfect time to start that as COVID. Well, from a Canadian perspective, COVID doesn't exist in the US anymore.
Yeah.
And we're just going maskless indoors here now, but it's because the weather's nicer. But maybe it's the perfect time to start up something like this. Like, Spike and Mike, I actually interviewed him on the podcast a while ago with Kat Eliocean. And there hasn't been anything that's kind of picked up that hole that was left from that festival. every city has its own kind of like, I was just at the in Halifax for their animation festival, and Toronto has this, you know, the Taffy animation festival, etc. But like, yeah, for sure, why not?
Spike and Mike's was one of those, like, because I mean, so I was born 1980, so like when I was 19, there was nowhere to go see stuff like Happy Tree Friends. But you go into this little theater in Long Beach and just everyone's just having a grand old time, and then animals that are adorable are slaughtering each other. You're like, this is amazing. Like Plimpton stuff would be there. Like to be able to share that experience, and it would be incredible. That would be something that's just, especially like for students who have just finished their film, are burnt out.
But it's also so exciting to see everybody's films. Like everybody joins at the end to watch all the thesis films. It's like this big exciting thing. Yeah, I think there's a really like we're getting into like culture now, but like, you know, smartphones changed everything, and kids grow up with a smartphone, and everything is just like, you watch TikTok by yourself, you might share it with somebody else. There's not like a communal, let's go to a place and just watch a whole bunch of shit together and have a good time, and like people are like drinking or smoking or throwing stuff around. Like I've never been to Spike and Mike, but I went to like the Rocky Horror Picture Show in Toronto when they play it like at the old theater, and like everybody the room or whatever, and everybody like throws spoons at the screen every time you see like stuff like that. It just doesn't like there's this big culture thing that is just, I feel like, is waiting to happen. Like I would totally go to a short like I do go to animation festivals. What am I saying? So but they're like, you know, the stuff that you go to, it's like handpicked, and like it's, you know, there's such a rigorous process to get in versus like just seeing anything, which is like, I don't know if you're familiar with Newgrounds, but I love it because you can just go and watch whatever people are making, just like doesn't matter quality, it doesn't matter the idea, you can just go and watch stuff. So I think that's super cool. Okay, so your podcast Nice Shorts is going to you're both gonna reach fame and success, and then you're gonna have a breakup where one of you goes off and starts this great festival, and the other person goes off and starts a reality TV show, and that will be the divergence of Nice Shorts. How does that sound?
Who gets the nice and who gets the shorts? Like,
right. Maybe as we're wrapping up, do you have any questions for each other that you want to ask? Just because I feel like you have been. And also, you know, is there anything that we didn't hit on that you think would be interesting to share with people who are longtime listeners of this podcast?
That is funny. I could ask Fu questions all day, but on the spot, I can't think of.
Oh no. Well, Fu, do you have any questions? Or me, I guess. Do you have any questions for Johnny that, you know, because I feel here's why I'm asking this. I feel you both know each other much better than I do, and you both know each other's work and process. So is there anything that you want to ask the other person to like bring them to talk about something super interesting that you want other people to hear about?
Okay. Fu, what's your favorite thing about your work ethic?
My work ethic?
Or what's your favorite
It's like,
thing?
What?
What's your favorite thing about what you do? Like when you look at yourself as a creator, what are you happiest about that you've achieved or that you do achieve?
What I'm happiest about? Oh my, this is so tough. Wait. I need to think. But Terry, do you have your answer then?
Yeah, it's for you too. You got to answer it as well.
Yeah,
I have
I'm
to answer
curious.
this as well.
Yeah. I'm curious.
What am I most happy about achieving?
Like when you think about yourself creating and just like in your day, I don't want to limit it. Just what do you reflect on and like the end of the day, like, you know, I'm happy I do this thing or that
I mean, there's multiple answers. One of them is like, I get off so much on just when people watch my stuff, and I have this like, my heart stops waiting for the reaction, and it's like, are they gonna like it? Do they like it enough? Like I love that so much, because like I feel like creating art and animation is just like such a personal aspect of who I am and how I perceive the world and what I want to create, just like what's going on in my head. But I often reflect where I'll just have moments throughout the day, because like I guess anybody who's heard my story is I had a different career. I was in business, and I basically gave up everything, quit my job, moved, like went back to school from scratch at 30, not having any confidence in doing animation at all. And now like it's been that was in 28 end of 2018, and it's now 2022. So 4 years later, and here I am like working full time in animation. It just feels amazing that I trusted myself enough to take this different path, and it's worked out so far. And I don't know what the future is going to bring, but I'm just happy and excited to be doing something that I have always loved and never thought was a reality, and now it is. So it just it feels super fulfilling. I don't know if there's actually a word to describe it, because it's like this amalgamation of my whole life's experiences and years of waiting and not giving into this thing that I wanted to do, and then giving into it and feeling so vulnerable. And then I still feel vulnerable, but I'm doing it. Like I don't know what the word is, but it feels great and scary. Great and scary. Grary.
Yeah.
The things you Frary Terry. The things you said on when we were interviewing you last time, it's just amazing that it's incredible that if you really look at the path you had, it started with or without you when you were a kid, and was like you kind of resisted it, and then it just finally you let it happen. Yeah. And you're still working your ass off to do what you're doing, but like you actively kind of avoided it, thinking that's not the thing. And like the book of spells and all the drawings you did and your old stop motions and how you sent it off randomly because you had nothing else to send, and it ended up being great. Like just all the things you had always done kind of lined up for the trajectory that you're already pushing on now. Yeah, it's wild. It feels, thank you. And it always feels like very emotional when I hear what you just said reflected back at me, because like it's, you know, when you're in the experience and when you're just living your life, and you know, you just described like 30 years of my life in like 2 sentences, it's totally different to just be living it and experiencing it versus like to reflect and say like, oh, that actually happened. And like there are kind of very clear stages to change things, but then like in the moment I was making decisions like that were huge and impactful, and looking back they just seem like silly, like, oh yeah, I totally could have just said yes to this and done that. Like, so it's, I don't know, it's very interesting to like, I feel almost emotional just hearing you say those things, because it's like such a, like I lived through that, I guess. So anyways, that's my answer. Fu, you've had enough time to think.
I'm so focused on listening to you, but I think I don't have a general, but I just very happy to be here, like really talk to you, Terry. Really, like because you know, I was when I was working on Medina Papel, I think that early year, and then when I started to listen to your podcast, I was like working and start from episode 1 to the most latest at that time. I just continue keep listening, and I feel like, oh man, I really hope to, you know, talk to the host and talk to this artist. So see, now I'm talking to you and we are able to interview you, which just and all the behind the scene again, like digging through your mind. Oh, that's the thing I feel happy. Can
I also say, like, that's one of the coolest things about interviewing people is all of us, like, so we're going to get off this and we're going to go back to whatever we're working on, right? And we're going to go like have dinner and do our shit and like in the morning wash our clothes and just work and think about deadlines, look at emails. But when you're doing the interview and like recapping to someone what they've said, is they suddenly get this like, wow, I've done all that. And it's really cool, like to think of how much you've done, even in just since you left school, or like again, Eddie and Stephanie.
But even you this past year with working on 10 student films and all these projects, like that's huge.
But it's right. I just, all I think about is like, well, it's done. It's also kind of sad because when you're working with people, you like build friendships and then it's suddenly over and you keep in touch, but it's you go from talking to someone several times a day to suddenly not talking to them. And that's always trippy. But yeah, it's hard to see it when you're in it. So the podcast is fun because we get to watch other people, like their eyes open up and remember how much they've done, and it's just really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we're having such a cute conversation. I really like this a lot. And also, Fu, when you were saying that you listened to so many of the episodes, like that means so much to me. Like I had no idea that anybody would listen to my podcast when I started it, and like it just feels so special that it helped you out somehow, and now you're doing a podcast yourself. I think that's incredible.
Thank you, Terry. Yeah. You are part of this that made me grow. Really.
No, it feels amazing to me, actually, to know that like something that I did was listened to by you, and it helped you in some aspect as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions you'd like to ask each other?
Johnny, so you finally have some time to relax, right? After finishing all the film. So soon. What's your plan?
Soon.
Soon?
Yeah, soon. My plan, well, I was going to take, so I might just take like a month off and do nothing. Just go back to California, go home for a while.
Nice.
I thought about maybe just going to visit you at your new house.
Yay!
I thought about going up to Canada just for the hell of it, but
come here, visit me.
So I don't know. Currently in like June-ish, so this will be way after this or way before this. Actually, time is so weird. This will be out. June won't matter, but I don't know. I would like to take a trip and just do nothing. I thought about do a work visa, because I've been working more and more to make everything mobile. So just ship a bunch of instruments, put the rest in storage, and maybe just go to a different continent for a while. I don't know. Or just go back to California, because I do miss the weather there. The East Coast is wet.
Yeah. Well, it's summertime, so you might as well enjoy the weather and travel and take some time off.
I have a question for you, Terry.
Okay.
You mentioned that after doing interviews for a while, you started studying Oprah.
I started what?
Studying Oprah and her interview techniques.
Yeah, that's true.
What I never heard from you was, what'd you learn from Oprah?
Oh, so okay. So one thing that I learned from her is that like I am so much more engaged when she is able to tap into the emotions and the emotional reasons behind things of her audience members. So instead of just saying you did X, Y, and Z and like whatever, she'll tap into, what is like the reasoning behind this. And she tries to like bring out the emotions because that's when it connects with the audience members and whatever. And like you take it maybe a dry subject and make it super interesting because there's really a human behind this at the end of the day. So I try to talk and pick out, why did you do this thing? Like, what are the challenges involved? What are the reasoning? What does this mean to you versus like, why do you run a podcast? Well, I run it to, I don't know, shit, whatever. And then, so that's like one thing I'm still trying to get better at it. And it's like something I have to actively work on because it's just, it's easy and natural to just be like, to just ask generic questions like, oh, I don't know, what is this? What is that? Versus like, dig in and tell me. And then the other thing she does is like, you can actually watch like people deconstruct how she interviews people on YouTube, where she like leans in, she usually touches the person, like just skills that she's developed to get somebody who has never met her before to open up and share personal stories right away, which I find is very difficult. And so I try to, it's one of my goals is to like make somebody feel super comfortable. Cause a lot of the times I'm meeting somebody for the first time and we jump into recording and I'm like, tell me about your childhood immediately. And then, people don't always feel super comfortable. So I try to be like that person's friend and make them feel comfortable. And obviously I can't really reach out in touch somebody
Just-
through Zoom. But if you notice, like I try to smile the entire time actively if you're looking at me. Because
by the way,
if you're on Zoom,
fantastic
you're either
smile.
looking at yourself and checking yourself out, or you're looking at the person. And I try to actively, there's a couple of things I do. You'll notice I'm like this, and like my hands here and touch, because I try to show you that my hands are like in the frame. I'm not doing something else. And also that I'm looking super relaxed as well. Like I'm actually got my knees up on my chair, like I'm like super professionally. So I try to like show that I'm looking really relaxed, and then I'm constantly smiling as well and nodding. And then the third thing is I try to, because when I first started, I could talk about this for a long time, but
I love this
podcast episodes specifically that I feel embarrassed about because I did not do a good job at this. I'm like yawning. I was daydreaming. I wasn't paying attention. And then there's a dead silence, and I had a lot to learn. And the third thing is I make notes for myself on what I want to ask the person. And I used to actually do a whole pre-chat where I would write down, I would get the person to like share their story, and I'd write down things. But then I realized that when we actually do the interview, it seems kind of rehearsed. I'm getting the person to talk about their experience again. And some people need that, and that's fine. And some people ask me to do a pre-chat, and I'm totally happy to do that. But I try to do everything candidly, because I notice when I do the pre-chat and then I do the interview, the person will say almost exactly word for word what they said in the pre-chat, because they're remembering the question that I asked them, and they're remembering how to answer it again. And then it feels less spontaneous and a little bit more rehearsed, I find. And then I don't make copious notes for myself. I always like research the person and their work beforehand, so I'm kind of knowledgeable, and I'll write down, they went to school here, they did this film, they worked on this. But I don't make a lot of questions for myself, because I noticed that when I was doing that, I was more focused on asking them the next question that I'd prepared versus digging into what they just said to try to uncover more interesting stories from what they shared with me. And then, I try to actively listen and stay in the moment so that I can pick up on when there might be something more interesting to dive into, or segue it into something else, which I have my notes for in case the conversation reaches a dead end. So there's where Oprah comes into play. I think the most things I learned from her, which I'm still trying to do, I'm not very good at, is how to get somebody to emotionally share their experience through through the decision making of how they ended up in their career versus because there's the difference would be like, I finished school and I interviewed and I got my entry-level job, and then a position came up and I was a supervisor, versus like, finishing school was like huge for me. And like, I took this big risk to like apply for this company that I didn't think would hire me. And like, I met this other, like, there's a big difference between how somebody tells a story. So I'm trying to dig into more of their experiences as a human being versus like the Wikipedia article that could be written about them, I guess.
I think you do a great job. I think you're very disarming and welcoming, and you're like a fireplace in a winter cabin. Like just
Can I use that somehow?
Go for it.
Your intro.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. And and whenever I'm listening to other people interviewing, I'm always internally analyzing how they ask questions and how they say things as well. And like with you guys, like I love that you like infuse silliness, and like I love that you have kind of this dynamic. Even though Fu, you're like, I'm the professional, and Johnny's like, I'm the whatever you said, silly person. It works because you both bring a different dynamic to a chat, and I think it brings out more from the person if it was just maybe one of you or whatnot. And for me, like if I had like a co-host, it probably would be so much more entertaining to listen to, because I have to like do the job of like, now it's a serious question. Now let's be a little silly. And I'm not the best at that. So I think that you guys like bring that unique spice to Nice Shorts, which is great.
I enjoy your show. What are you talking about? You don't need a co-host, but I need to see your competition reality show someday, really.
We're going to do it together.
Oh, yeah. Please tell me more.
If I'm not working on this with you two, I'm going to be sad. I'll be a PA. I'll get coffee. I don't care.
You can do the music for it. How about that?
I accept.
You can come up with a separate reality show about composers making music or something.
I'll film behind the scenes of Foo.
Oh, you know, like they need to have a clip, so they need to consult with you, and you'll help them with the music, right?
Exactly.
To tell the story. Aha.
I'll just do the theme song and then just go relax and take royalties, and I'm good with that.
I mean, when it comes, there's already like the 7-second club and other animation competitions online that people are already doing. So 24-hour challenges, etc. I was in a 24-hour challenge once and it almost killed me.
What would you guys name this? Oh, wait, hold on. 24-hour animation challenge you did?
Yeah, there was one it's called the 24-hour challenge, and it's for like all animation schools in like the whole world.
I like the name. It really tells you what it is.
Sorry?
The name, like it's like you know how long it is, you know what you're doing, like it's a perfect name.
They come up with a theme basically, and then they say go, and your time starts now, and then you have 24 hours to submit it. And it, you know, music, whatever you can put into the production, however long you want to make it, and you have to have teams of I think 5 or 6 or something like that. And it's like a teacher run or professor run student competition that's like worldwide for like one day.
Can we see your final one you did?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's online somewhere.
Going online now. I own online.
I own online. I can't think of what it's called actually, but we came in 13th out of like, I think it was 13th out of like 100 and something groups, which was really cool for like first year students. It was really, really fun. It was also we had a lot of drama in our group. Ooh. One person left halfway through. Ooh. And I got no sleep, and somebody was very sick, and somehow we managed to put it all together, and it was very stressful. And then I drove home afterwards when I shouldn't have, because it was like a 2-hour drive. So I was living way far away from the school at that point. And then I crashed.
Wait, what?
No, I mean like I like went to bed. I went to bed. I didn't crash my car. Sorry. Bad
time
choice
and
of
place
words.
For certain words, Terry.
Yeah. I forgot I did that until you just mentioned it. So yeah, we'll have to do like the animation challenge or something.
That would be a fun thing, is if you did a compilation of get as many of the guests that you've had and try to get their first thing they've done or something like that, where it's like kind of a throwaway for them that they forgot they did, but it was fun, and just a compilation of that.
That'd be interesting, because like, you know, I've talked to people who are conventionally speaking very ahead in their career, like at Pixar and Disney, and what people usually associate with these things, where they're coming out with like high standard stuff, and then to show I've done that actually a few times with people who've come on the podcast and shown their like first ever demo reel or their first ball bounce, and like the links in the description or whatever. So
First Frames with Terry Ibele.
First Frames, yeah, that's a good name. Interesting. Like, I love it. Well, is there, you know, as we're wrapping up, is there anything else that you would like to share about what's coming up? Or I know, Johnny, you're going to take a month off, hopefully, and Fu, you've got this new studio you're going to build. Is there anything else that you'd like to share as we're kind of wrapping up here?
I just want to share that Fu's an amazing human and people should hire her.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. No, Johnny, it's you. But Terry, really, thank you so much. You just you keep going, you keep running, really. Like, I don't know what else to say. Just you're amazing.
Oh wow! Well, I think you guys are. This is not about me here. This is about you guys. I think you guys are amazing. Like, I'm just so impressed every time I see anything by you guys, and the Nice Shorts. Like, so I feel super honored that you came on my podcast and shared, you know, your journeys with finding your careers and making this podcast together. Because like, I know how hard it is to make and keep, like, starting the podcast was, I like resisted so hard and then finally did it. And then maintaining it, like, it's so much work. Like I hats off to both of you for making it happen. Cause like what I do compared to what you do is a total difference. I'm like, let me slap this thing together in an hour. And you're like, let me edit and make this a professional thing with like audio, visual, everything. So it's incredible. So I'm super happy you came on, and yeah.
Oh, thank you. This will be the first episode I can't listen to.
Oh no. Well, thank you so much, Fu and Johnny, for coming on the podcast. It's been a great time. And if you are listening and you want to follow Fu or Johnny's work or get in touch with them and say hi, which you should definitely do. And you can do so by reaching out to either of them on Instagram. Johnny's is Johnny RK and Fu's is Cuckoo Stuff on Instagram, or their websites. Johnny's is johnnyrk.com and Fu's is fuyang.wixsite.com/fuyang. Is that right? I think so. And I'll include all these links in the description of this chat. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for listening. Okay, bye.
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 Cool. That's a wrap. I'm just going to hit stop recording. The music for this podcast was composed by Will Farmer and the graphics by Daniel Abensauer. I encourage you to look them up if you enjoyed their work.